Okay, so here we have actual torture. This is actual freaking human torture. It's not like 1 over x to the fourth plus 1 because that's actual freaking torture right there too. However, I chose this one because it's a little bit easier to understand and also a little bit easier for me to understand because if I was to do x to the fourth, I can't comprehend that. That's too much brain power. I don't have that much brain power. But this one's pretty fairly simple. It's kind of like the other one, except it's a little bit more simple. But yeah, without further ado, let's do it. So what we first can do is that we can actually factor that out. And factoring is pretty easy, actual algebra 2 skill. We can rewrite this as, we're going to keep the interval out, as 1 over, obviously you use your cubic factoring thing, so x plus 1, and then x squared minus x plus 1, right? And if you know, you know, right? So now, using partial fraction, we can just rewrite this, right? So x plus 1, x squared minus x plus 1 equals a, because this is just a binomial, plus, this is quadratic, so we need a linear equation on top, so let's do b plus c, bx plus c, and then drop it down. Just like that. Now, it's a little bit easier more to deal with. Now we gotta do the hard part of this. Figure out what A, B, and C is. Should be fairly simple. A is easy. A, all you have to do is just, what will make that 0? Well, it will be -1. So now we have to plug in -1 into here. So, -1 squared is 1. Plus 1, which is 1, plus 1, which is 3. So, we plugged in -1, right? Which gave us a. So a is 1 over 3 because when you plug in -3 and over a, you just get 1 over 3. It's pretty simple. So that is our first one, right? So a is that. Now let's do 0. Okay, so if you plug in 0 into here, that will cancel out b. So now we only have to work with c. So let's do that. 0. This will just be 0, right? So it'll just cancel everything. So that will just be 1. Thank God. 0, that'll just be, so 0 plus that'll just be 1. So again, this would just be, so we know this is 1/3 over 1, so it'll just be 1/3, because a is 1/3, right? And then that's 0, so it'll just be c. So it'll just be c, right? Plug in 0, that'd be 0 minus 0, right? Plus 1, so it'll just be the same thing, so it'll just be plus c. Now, all you have to do is solve for c. This should be simple. Negative, so you have to subtract 1/3 into here, which will just be 3 minus 1, which will just be 2. So this would be 2/3. So our c is 2/3. Okay, now let's get b. To isolate b, we just have to make x equal to 1, right? Which is simple. So 1 plus 1 is, believe it or not, 2. And then 1 squared, right? So that'll be 1 minus 1, which will just be plus 1. So it doesn't really matter, right? It's just going to be 1/2. Right? Equals 1 plus 1 is also 2. We know that 1/3, and then that'll be over 1/3 over 2, which will just be 1/6. Pretty simple. B. So we put b because we know b is just 1. Plus c, we know c is just 2 over 3, which is pretty simple. Obviously plug into here, it'll just be 1, so we don't need to add the denominator, so that's simple. Now we can just basically find what b equals. So we're going to make everything over 6, so this would be 3 over 6 equals 2 over 6 plus b plus 4 over 6. Nope, that's wrong. I can't do math. I don't know what I'm doing. It's 1/6. And then 2 over 3 will just be 4/6. That's my fault. Okay. This will be 5/6. That'll be negative 2 over 6, which is just negative 1/3, right? Yeah, so it'll just be, so c is good. Now we have our a's, b's, and c's. Also, I can't do it because, I mean, it's not c, it's b. My fault. Oops. It's b, not c. That was my bad. Okay. So now we can just rewrite. Now it's a little bit easier to do this. So I'm going to use 2 colors this time, which is going to be pretty hard. because I can't really, do it, but I'm gonna use when. So here, we can just rewrite that as, so A is gonna be 1/3, so I'm gonna write 1/3 out of the integral, and then we can just put a 1 over x plus 1. Actually, I'm gonna go over here, and I might block the way, but I don't care. Like that, right? That's our first one. Plus, we're gonna combine everything. So we can factor out, what is it? Must be the negative 1/3. We can factor out negative 1/3, which would be a little bit easier, so it'll just be x, and then we factor out 2/3, which would just be minus 2, and then x squared minus x plus 1 dx, all that. Okay, so now we have that, right? Okay, so the derivative of this, right? To make this easier, we want to find what the derivative of this is to make it simple. So think about it. Derivative of x squared minus x plus 1 is just 2x minus 1. So we want 2x minus 1 up here. We don't have that. So what we can do is that we can actually just multiply it by 2, but I'll change everything. So we can just multiply it by 1/2 to keep it the same, right? Which is, now it's the same. So if we factor out 2 into x, that'll be 2x minus 4. We want a minus 1. So in order for that to happen, we want to keep everything the same. So we'll do 1/3, we'll just bring everything down, why not? 1x plus 1 dx, that'll just be 1/6. Right? Should I do parentheses? No, yeah, I'm gonna do parentheses. So that, right, so this would be 2x minus 4, but we want a 1, so we're gonna place 1 and then we're gonna subtract 3 from it to keep it the same, and then x squared minus x plus 1 and dx, right? And now we can separate that. So again, we bring everything down, because that's what you have to do, sadly. I hate doing that too. 1/6. Now we can obviously make it even. So 2x minus 1 over x squared minus x plus 1 dx minus the 3. Okay, now we want to complete the square, because since it's over a constant, completing the square will make it so much easier, because it's like a certain formula that we can use in order to make it easier. So let's complete the square. I'm gonna complete the square somewhere not here. Like maybe I'll probably do it. Actually, I'll just do it right here. So we want to complete the square. So we divide this by 2, which will just be 1/2, negative 1/2, and then we have to square it, which will just be 1/4, right? So it'll be plus 1/4, right? Cool. But we want it to equal 1, so in order to make it equal to 1, we have to add 3 over 4, right? And that's how we can complete the square. Now it's a little bit easier to solve. So now we can do x minus 1/2 squared, and then we want to add that 3/4, and we want to square it to make it a little bit easier to solve. So we're going to square it by square rooting 3 over 2, and then squaring everything. Integrating it, I forgot to put the integral sign. Dx, right? Now, there it is. After completing the square, now we have that. Now we can go to the fun part where we can actually start integrating crap, right? So, 1/3. Oh, that's not good. 1/3 integral, and then, oh, not integral, my bad, that sucks. Oopsies, we're integrating, right? So 1/3 natural log x plus 1, easy, that's easy, that should be easy one, everybody should get that one. Minus 1/6, right? That's easy because we know that's just gonna be natural log because we found what the derivative is, right? So now we can do x squared minus x plus 1. We can use parentheses because, think about it, if we add any number to it, it'll just be positive, so we only need the absolute value sign. And then now we have that one right there. We can rewrite that as, obviously we want to add that 1/6, right? Yeah, we want to add that 1/6 to it, so to get that, we can take the reciprocal of that, which will just be 2 over 3, right? Tangent, right? And then, luckily that's the derivative, so we just be 1, so we can just keep that the same, right? And then over that. And that's technically it. Like we did it. This will be 1/2. I'm stupid. Oopsies, I didn't mean to do that because I didn't see the 3. Okay, so I made a mistake, as I always do. There's a 3 up here. -3 times -1/6 will just be plus 1/2. I don't know what happened. I don't think I saw the 3. That's stupid of me. Okay. Now all we have to do is to simplify it. We can cancel out 2 and then we can rewrite everything here. Nope, that's not fine. Okay. So that'll just be 1/3. I mean 1 over square root of 3, right? And then up tangent, right? And then you can actually distribute this. Since this is just a denominator, you can actually just do like this. You can just do the reciprocal. So 2 over this cube root, 2 over the square root of 3, and then just times this. So that'll just be 2 over square root of 3x. And then when you multiply this into that, it will just be, because like 2 cancels, so just, okay, it'll just be -1 over square root of 3, right? Yeah, there you go. Okay, now that's the answer. So now what I'm going to do is rewrite it so it's a little bit easier to solve. So now we need to rewrite. So 1/3 natural log x plus 1 minus 1/6 natural log x squared minus x plus 1 over 3 arctangent 1. And then I'll go over here. I don't even know why I'm writing it, to be honest. I don't know. Square root of 3x minus 1 over square root of 3 plus c, because we're integrating indefinite interval. There it is.